Good morning, everyone. This is Zodiark, and we are 1 week successfully in on Last Cloudia. Congratulations to all that did well with the re-rolls and pulls last week. We're going to begin this series with some character analysis, and today we're going to be discussing Kyle and Ray, since these are characters that everyone will be starting off with. As a disclaimer, I'd like to mention that my analysis of these characters is strictly just my opinion, so obviously they're not set in stone. Everyone is free to play these characters however they wish, thanks to the grid system that they have with the ability to increase your stat attributes and, of course, specific arcs and abilities that you want to give your characters. So let's get into Kyle real quick. Starting out, Kyle's classified as a human and he's a soldier type, so he's going to be more of an attacker rather than a defender, although he does have options there if you wish to do so. His equipment set, he can equip swords, axes, spears, and for whatever reason, rods. He, of course, has access to armor and light clothing since he is a knight in story, but yet they classify him as a soldier, so this is going to be confusing already. By looking at his skills, here we are, the abilities. Most of Kyle's abilities are going to be focused on fire, but also he does gain access to light element with Star Force. This will allow his regular attacks to become light elemental, which we'll get to in a moment. At level 40, he's going to gain access to a pretty cool passive called Fast Brave. That's going to push his attack an automatic 20% at the start of every battle. So clearly, well, again, just suggesting, attack is typically the route you want to take with Kyle, especially since he's going to get an attack up passive at strength plus 2% very early in the game. Pose of Victory is also going to allow him to regain some HP, so as you transfer from battle to battle, he's going to be healing himself quite a bit. He's also going to gain access to Impact, which is going to allow his regular attacks to deal more damage. And if he gets low on health, he's going to gain access to Accelerate. I'm not a big fan of passives that activate whenever a character is low on health, because you're not going to keep them low on health. You're going to heal them most of the time. And one of my big problems I have with Kyle is his hot-blooded trait. Raise his strength when a party member is dead. This is only going to be good if Kyle is like your carry unit. So if you level Kyle all the way up and you bring in some lobies and let them die off early, you can make Kyle a powerhouse nice and early, but I mean, that's totally up to you. And then he has this other passive known as Sky High, which increases physical damage dealt to flying enemies by 20%. That means the enemy has to be airborne. That it can either be naturally flying or has to be knocked off of the ground with a move or a spell. Like all characters, he gains access to extra skill points and the ability to increase his already active abilities, Flash Stream, which is we'll call it a circular AoE in front of him, and then Crimson Ride, which is a fire elemental move effective against plants. There's been a fair number of plants in the game so far, so this isn't exactly something to just write off. He also gains access to Chance Drive. This will boost physical damage dealt to enemies that have been fainted or are in break status. Fainted means that the enemy has stars over their head or stunned, so you'll be able to push extra damage that way too. So straight away, Kyle is definitely reading out to be an offensive powerhouse. Now, you can power up his magic a little bit. He does gain access to, I saw it somewhere, Meteor Rain, which is a fire attack against all enemies. However, this is going to again draw from his magic attribute, but most of his other passives are going to be strictly for attacking. He'll also gain access to some fire resist, but he also has a nice chunk of health passives. 800 at the top and another 300 at the bottom for a total of 1100. So he's definitely going to have some staying power. Now, as far as particular arcs that you want to equip him with, some that come to mind is the Broken Sword at the Shore, strictly for critical up and fish killer. The SR Beast Hunter 1 will grant access to Beast Killer, but more importantly Pride, which will push his attack higher if he's at full HP. So if he gets the attacks off first in the round before the enemy gets to hit him back, he's hitting for some pretty good damage. That's especially if Auto Brave has been applied at this point. Undead Killer is also another good one to look at because he's got that passive where he gains light elemental to his physical attacks. Undead Killer is right now gained, I believe, from Grave of the Blade Master, which is another SR rank arc. Another good passive to give him would be Blind Resistance through Cavern Ale. So since a lot of his specials are regarding attack, you definitely want him to not be able to be blinded, as it will lower his accuracy. Of course, we wouldn't be remiss if we didn't mention Attack 3 from Airship, which, as everybody knows, is one of the better attack passives in the game right now, which is an amazing 8% attack increase for only 3 points. If you want to go long ball game, level 10 on Geist Training Mountain, which is an R arc, will increase his attack by an ungodly amount, but I have not seen anyone with any 10 tier arcs yet. So for the time being, it looks like Airship for the Attack 3 passive, and then those others I mentioned for killer passives, is an excellent way to build Kyle up. Having said that, we'll go ahead and mention very quickly that he does have some fire resistance and wind, but he's extremely weak to ice elemental attacks and a slight weakness to darkness, which is kind of strange, but there it is. So with that, we move on into Ray. Ray is considered a beast class. And as far as natural stats, he resists ice and lightning, although you would figure lightning more based on what we'll be discussing here in a moment. He's weak to wind and also shares that same 5% dark weakness. Unfortunately, he's weakened to blind as some of his attacks do deal physical damage, but he can resist paralysis, which is a nice thing to have. One of my biggest problems with Ray is, once again, get to equip, is his equipment setup. As far as weapons, he can only use claws. That's it. Nothing else. And I think so far the highest claw weapon I've seen outside of what we'll call trust rewards from the arcs is like I think it was a 50 attack with some Dragon Killer passive. He can wear robes and light clothing, so his armor selection is going to be a little less bulkier than Kyle's. But let's get into his abilities real quick. As far as what Ray offers, he's going to be big on lightning-based moves. A lot of his combos are also going to be front combos as well, such as Claws of Destruction, which is going to be a basic frontal attack, Raging Pulsar, which is a frontal combo thunder attack, and then one of his bigger ones that he uses later on is the Lag Rain Blitz. Another frontal thunder attack, but this one's more effective against machines and can chance to stun enemies, which would also benefit one of Kyle's passives I mentioned earlier. As far as spells, he actually gains access to Lightning Gauge, which is a very good spell for farming fights in this game, as it draws enemies into an area and then zaps them with thunder, setting up for some excellent combos. He'll also gain access to, at very late level, Valza Riser, which is a powerful thunder, hit all the enemy move. As far as how he's built, he's kind of like a mix between attack and magic, as he gains Fury, which is, again, another low health passive, which I absolutely am not a fan of. He does get access to counter, though, so he can push extra damage there as needed. Eating Lightning is another passive he'll gain later on, where he has a chance to recover MP when hit by a thunder attack, but of course the game does not specify those odds. He has a very strange HP area, as they're all lined up in the same kind of area. They're all straight down the defense. So you're looking at 1, 5, 5, about 1,300 in HP total. So he can definitely take some hits, but as far as passives and HP, the only ones we got is counter, some ice resist, and some health, and all his health. Mind draws access into his Eating Lightning passives and Thunderwall, which is a very niche ability to resist ice. But other than that, he's going to be an interesting character to build because you kind of need to focus on both your magic and your attack to kind of make the most of them. Also, very late game, he gains access to Berserker, which will increase the amount of break bar damage that is dealt to bosses. So if you want to try to break a boss quickly, this is definitely a good one to go into. As far as the arcs I would be equipping on him, any of the killer passives that I mentioned previously would be good to go with Ray as far as his attacking. But if you wanted to focus more on the magical side, if you started off with Granada Wharf, that gets you access to Fire, Ice, and Earth Element Tier 1 spells, as well as heal at level 2. Giving him some much more flexibility and hitting in other elements for your enemies and such. Thunderstone's Luster, which is an R rank arc, is definitely going to help to get another mech killer trait for his Lag Rain Blitz. And he also will gain critical to thunder magic. Critical up for that is just, increases critical capacity. And 10% additional thunder magic damage. So if you wanted to pigeonhole him directly into just thunder damage, especially when you're going to be spamming your thunder spells, he's definitely going to be good on that. I would definitely consider Cavern Ale for the blind resist, so that way it gets around his weak to blind that he's currently running right now. Thundercloud Zelana will, of course, get him access to Lightning Gauge a little earlier if you didn't want to wait to level him. But it also gives him the spell Tornado Storm. So that way you can lift enemies up, and that also sets up Kyle for his very niche auto passive that I mentioned earlier, the Sky Force. Nope, not Sky Force, Sky High. That. But probably one of the better ones to give him is God of Storms, as this is going to give him some thunder boost passives. You will gain thunder resist as far as equipping it, but my big recommendation is if you're wanting to stick to thunder, pick up God of Storms, get the thunder up abilities, and then usually equip them with the Thunderstone's Luster, and now push his lightning damage up. Overall, he's an okay unit, but I simply just don't like the fact that for him being a physical attacker with a weakness to blind and his very limited equipment selection, he's going to be a very niche unit at best. But as far as a brawler, he'll do okay until you get better units. I think that'll conclude today's video. Next session, I'm going to focus on the games. We'll say 3 healers that we currently have, and we'll go over the traits that sets them apart from each other and which one might be better off for you. So thanks for tuning in, and hope you guys are having success on Last Cloudia. Have a good day.